What's going on YouTube? Josh here checking in, back with another training video. And as you guys can tell, I clearly do not know how to load weight onto the bar. That left side of the bar had about an extra 15 or so pounds on it. So, I figured I would even the weight out. Might be a good idea, just a tip for you guys when you're using a barbell to have, the same amount of weight on either side of the barbell. So anyway, I apologize, it's been a while since I've had some training footage on the channel. It's been a challenge getting things up just with my schedule, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. So on to the actual workout itself. This workout is from the tail end of November, and the plan here was to do 5 sets of 4 on the front squat with 260 pounds. Well, as you guys saw earlier, I clearly do not know how to load weight onto the bar. And apparently I don't know how to do math either, because this, as it turns out, is not 260 pounds. This is actually 275 pounds. So I realized this around my 3rd set, and I decided just to go with it. Because previously 275 I had only done for maybe a set of 3, I believe was the most I've ever done with 275, and this I was able to get 5 sets of 4. Granted, around the 4th set or so, it starts looking pretty ugly, but I got it nonetheless. And we'll talk about that ugly set as we get to it, so stay tuned for that one. Overall, with these front squats, they felt a lot better than I was expecting, especially once I realized that I was working with 275 pounds. You guys will see here that I really do my best to keep my elbows up and, just kind of stay strong and stay nice and settled. It took me a long time to really get comfortable with the front squat, especially in that front rack position. And basically, the bar is almost on my neck. I'm almost choking myself, and if it's not that close, it's really just very uncomfortable and I don't feel strong at all. So these overall are looking pretty good, and this is actually my 3rd set out of 5. Obviously you can see I'm struggling a little bit, but for the most part it's not too bad. What I didn't realize was that the fatigue was really starting to kick in. So come to set 4, and this is where disaster strikes. First off, you guys saw that? I just cleaned my mustache right there because that mustache gets in my face sometimes, and gotta make sure that I'm all ready to go and I don't have any distracting mustache hairs when I'm trying to front squat. Perhaps that's what contributed to this really terrible set. So watch this video, and this is what not to do on the front squat. On the front squat, it's super important that you stay tight throughout the entire movement and you don't lose any tightness, especially in the hole. What you'll see here is an epic disaster where I basically lost respect for the weight and really didn't have my head in the game, and you'll see a lot of funkiness. That first one wasn't terrible, it just goes downhill from here. You'll see a lot of weirdness with my hips and my lower back. My upper back is not tight, I'm rounding my upper back a lot. It's just really ugly. This last one is a disaster. Yeah, do not do that in your front squat, please. Ever. Don't do that. Okay, moving on. So after I had that set, I decided to, get my shit together, so to speak, and finish off strong. So this is the last set over here. This is set number 5. I took a little bit of extra break, and I went ahead and finished the set nicely. I can speak English too. Believe it or not, I can speak English and do really bad math. So, you'll see here the depth really is probably not as good as the previous sets, but overall I was happy with this as this was a really huge PR for me. So, onto some high bar squats, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about my training on this particular day. I don't do any of the very specific powerlifting movements on this lower body day, because I train lower body 3 days per week, and this is my training session that occurs basically in the middle of the other 2 training sessions. So this is kind of like my bonus lower body day. That's how I look at it. This is where I work on movements that I maybe are not so far off from the power movements, but far away enough that they're not something I'm going to be doing in a meet. I'm obviously not front squatting, or I'm not going to high bar squat in a powerlifting meet. So as a result of that, I just work on my weaknesses. I get in some extra volume for my lower body, and really just go from there. It's also just an opportunity for me to kind of have fun with my training and be a little bit more flexible with the movements I do. Every once in a while I'll toy around, I'll do some walking lunges, just if I want to be a sadist and be extremely sore the following day. You know, just things like that. And if I'm in a rush, I don't really feel too bad about skipping a few things, because quite frankly this is really just a bonus day in my opinion. Really just, again, to get in some extra volume. So just in general, going back to what I was saying earlier about being super busy and getting training and things like that, I apologize again that sometimes on the channel you'll see videos every 2 or 3 days, and then sometimes it'll go once a week or once every week and a half. And unfortunately that's just the nature of the beast. As a third-year medical student, I'm in the hospital about 6 days a week, and I'm also training 6 days a week, with my trainings basically averaging about 2 to 2.5 hours per session. So sometimes there's just not enough time to do everything, get an adequate amount of sleep, which for the most part my sleep is not really adequate, you know, and really do everything else. So I'll do my best to keep the videos coming, but just bear with me guys, sometimes the videos are not going to be as frequent as you'd like. So back to the training footage. After those high bar squats, I moved on to some deficit straight leg deadlift, beltless of course. Did that first one double overhand, and I really couldn't handle that because I have bitch hands, so I moved over to a switch grip and continued the set. Anyway, this is a really solid movement in my opinion, really hammers home that posterior chain, particularly the low back and the hamstrings, and for a lot of people that's actually a bigger weakness than I think we will admit. I know personally I was kind of in denial that that was a weakness of my own, and I know a lot of people, when they get stronger, that kind of becomes one of the limiting factors. And I can say for sure that that has been the case for myself and for a lot of other people who are much stronger than me. On their journey of getting stronger, that has turned out to be a weak link. So I would recommend that people work on that in advance to make sure it doesn't become a weak link. So anyway, you might have noticed from this video that a lot of the reps are looking overall pretty fast, meaning that, you know, it's obviously not a super high intensity, it's not extremely challenging for me. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned earlier in this video, this is my kind of bonus lower body day. So the goal is really just to get extra work in. The goal is not necessarily to work to a point of exertion that will really fatigue me and prevent me from continuing to put in some solid effort on my real workouts, which focus on the power lifts, obviously, since I'm a power lifter. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to give it a like. If you're not a subscriber, I don't know what you guys are waiting for. That subscribe button's right down there. Just click it. Seriously, click subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.